If you didn't hear the news, Ethereum is losing a major dApp on its blockchain. dYdX, the decentralized perpetual exchange, has announced they are moving to their own standalone chain as part of the Cosmos ecosystem. Why is this happening? Is it because Cosmos is the best and will provide the most decentralization? And could this be a kicker for other Ethereum dropouts, like from Uniswap? We'll find out in just over 10 minutes because it's time for Chico Crypto. Yup, it's happening. dYdX is breaking up with ETH and its layer 2s. As we can see, this is coming with their V4 upgrade, and the team says from the release blog, dYdX V4 will be developed as a standalone blockchain based on the Cosmos SDK and Tendermint proof-of-stake consensus protocol. dYdX V4 marks the full decentralization of the dYdX protocol, and we're excited about the unique combination of decentralization, scalability, and customizability that Cosmos offers. So why move away from Ethereum and its L2s if this just comes down to decentralization? dYdX was originally built on Ethereum Layer 1, but eventually moved to a Layer 2 based on Starkware. And just last year, dYdX put out an AMA recap of why they chose to build on Stark. In the AMA, they praised Starkware, and David from dYdX said in response to why they chose it, "The main thing we are looking for was to move fast. We wanted to remove a lot of the risk and work with someone who had been doing it on mainnet, ideally for a while." And StarkX had been doing that with Diversify and had a lot of success doing that and had a really good reputation in general from people we spoke to. So what is their reason for ditching Starkware? Well, back at their V4 post, dYdX said this: "The fundamental problem with every L1 or L2 we could develop on is that none can handle even close to the throughput needed to run a first-class order book and matching engine. This is where Cosmos comes in. Cosmos offers full customizability over how the blockchain itself works, as well as the jobs validators perform. In dYdX V4, each validator will run an in-memory order book that is never committed to consensus, i.e. it's off-chain. So who is in charge of the validators? Well, dYdX token holders are. They are sticking with their Layer 1 Ethereum token. They say V4 protocol is designed with a need for a Layer 1 protocol token. This token will be used for staking to validators, as well as ongoing governance of the chain. The dYdX token would seem to be a natural fit to be used as a Layer 1 token of the V4 network. So is this a good thing? dYdX token holders are in control of validation. Well, Bartek.eth on Twitter said this about their Cosmos pivot. So now your funds, instead of being secured by Ethereum, will be secured by dYdX token holders majority. Be right back. Checking who still has 33% of the supply. So who does have the supply? Well, of course, the dYdX team has a large amount, but Antonio Giuliano, founder, said this regarding if they would run validators. "We will run no validators, and becoming a validator will be a decentralized process through staking. If not dYdX, then who has the next biggest chunk? Well, it's not the community as of now, it's the investors, including one who may be making the decision for dYdX. But before we get into that, it's time for a short talk about the sponsor of this video, Bit.com. And like always, the full details of our arrangement are in the description. Bit.com is a secure, high-performance cryptocurrency exchange made for everyone, from beginner traders to advanced professionals. They provide spot trading with advanced technical analysis tools, swapping of tokens in a Uniswap-like style, as well as futures and options. The exchange also offers what others don't, including their RMM, the rebalancing market making strategy, which takes the complexity out of investing, letting you pick automated strategies to earn on the volatility of crypto. And you can even create your own strategies. Bit.com also has an NFT marketplace dropping soon. So sign up for early access before the NFT markets pop once again. Links for the exchange and early access for the NFT marketplace are down in the description. So who could be the dYdX shot caller? Well, as we can see, just back in June of last year, dYdX closed a Series C funding round led by Paradigm. And they're going to use this additional capital to, number one, decentralize the protocol. Back to decentralization, which Paradigm now obviously has a big say in how they are going to do it. And if you didn't know, Paradigm has a big old hard-on for Cosmos. Last year, Paradigm put out this blog post titled A Cosmos Thesis, and they say, if Ethereum is a mainframe computer, Cosmos is a protocol for networking independent servers. Free markets frequently find better solutions to highly multivalent problems than any we could manually enshrine. Cosmos is testing that hypothesis in the context of blockchain application design. With IBC's launch, the capital I interchain emerges. So why such a raging boner for Cosmos? Well, Paradigm was one of the initial backers for Cosmos creator Tendermint, leading their Series A round back in March of 2019, which has allowed Paradigm to become a top validator for the Cosmos Hub. So this is a 1-2 punch from Paradigm. They are a top validator for Cosmos, and they will be a top validator for dYdX. But what about the security? Ethereum is great because of its shared security. With Cosmos, the chain itself is required to secure itself, which even Paradigm expressed in their Cosmos paper. They said, smart contracts on Ethereum can rely on the platform for protection from safety failures like rollbacks or invalid state transitions. On Cosmos, each chain is responsible for its own security, so applications may fail more often. Although they provide a counter-argument to this saying, Cosmos will enable a wide variety of shared security options in the future. IBC can be used to couple the consensus sets of multiple zones. Zones like Lazy Ledger will enable sovereign execution environments to share security via rollups, much like the rollup-centric Ethereum design. The shared security in Cosmos is called interchain security. So is it ready? Well, going to their GitHub for the V1 release, we can see that there is still much to do task-wise to get this ready to go live, and many tasks don't even have a developer assigned to it yet. Now, Gavin Wood, co-founder of Ethereum and founder of Polkadot, actually talked about this last year in November. Let's hear what he had to say about shared security and Cosmos.
In terms of like its comparison to like other chains like Cosmos that really sort of bill themselves as interoperability, I think it's like not entirely unfair to characterize it that way. But there is a really crucial difference between Polkadot and Cosmos, and that's that Polkadot is it's really like a community of chains that share their security. This means that you get guaranteed secure interoperability between the chains. Basically, the chains can send messages, and those messages are guaranteed to arrive, and they're guaranteed not to be in any way corrupted. They're guaranteed that the sending chain won't have reverted and then finalized some other block later because of some economic attack, for example. And this is, like, I think, crucially different because it allows you to build like truly composable applications rather than just kind of an almost like lossy network. I personally feel that this concept of shared security is going to be crucial in terms of scaling because it allows economic scalability. It means that the same validator set, the same token, can secure many different kinds of logic, many different kinds of application, many different kinds of chain. And if you can't like do that, then you're going to have to split up your capital pool between the applications and therefore reducing the security of each one.
So I get why dYdX is moving from Ethereum. They need scalability, but they are sacrificing security by moving over to Cosmos, who doesn't have interchain security ready. Why wouldn't they try out something like Polkadot, who has everything needed and ready for a truly decentralized product? Well, it comes down to investors, and Paradigm doesn't have Polkadot within their portfolio. So in my opinion, the decision came down to money, not who is the most decentralized. Okay, dYdX is making the move from Ethereum to Cosmos, but could an even bigger exchange follow in their steps soon? Well, if you didn't know, Paradigm also has Uniswap in their portfolio. April of 2019, Hayden Adams, founder of Uniswap, announced this on Twitter, that Paradigm was leading their initial seed round. Does this mean Cosmos could vampire attack the biggest decentralized exchange on Ethereum? Well, in my opinion, this is highly possible and probable. Why? Well, if you don't remember from earlier this year and last year, it seemed very likely Uniswap was going to be directly integrating flashbots and even missed X to prevent MEV attacks on the swaps. There was a Uniswap v3 demo built, which stated this was happening, and even within the Uniswap GitHub, they had work being done on this with MistX developer dYdX and Uniswap's Moody Salem. But this was never integrated. It fell apart. There is still no way to provide MEV and front-running protection directly through Uniswap. You would think this would be integrated if they are sticking with Ethereum. But if we go back to the Cosmos paper from Paradigm, one of the advantages for Cosmos's pitch, it's MEV resistance. And if we go to this other research paper from Paradigm, they discuss Cosmos in the MEV sense. They say, it is imagined that Cosmos blockchains will be largely application specific and not share security with one another by default, which may allow them to avoid externalities that would be harmful on a shared platform. So MEV is stopped because of no shared security by default on Cosmos, yet shared security is coming to Cosmos. Well, you heard it here first. Uniswap could be doing a similar thing to dYdX, moving over to Cosmos, which I think isn't the greatest idea, as interchain security isn't ready. And interchain security will bring the same problems Uniswap faces on Ethereum. Maybe try Polkadot? Cheers, viewers. I'll see you next time.